Today I expect, decide on what I've called the freedom package. A freedom package for Europe. That means that we will have a definitive stop of the possibility to import Russian gas to EU. When it has been decided here, we will go with a very fast negotiation with Parliament. So my hope is that we will be able to conclude on this package before New Year. So we will have an effective package that will mean that we will meet the date set out in the proposal by the Commission, meaning that there will be a total ban of the possibility to import Russian gas to EU, which is, of course, for security reasons, for economic reasons, tremendously important. I think the US is a credible supplier, but as with any other parts of the world, EU should not be too dependent on getting our resources from one supplier, regardless of who it is. So I see US as a trustworthy supplier, but the long-term strategy for EU should be to lower our consumption of fossil fuels. We have to do that due to our climate targets, of course, but also to get independent.
Well, I have a very strong expectation that today we can definitively put a stop to the possibility of importing gas to the EU. There are certainly many Danes who are puzzled by the fact that the EU still buys so much gas, and the EU does. Firstly, we still need the gas. There are European energy customers who depend on it. But it's also because Russia has shown a willingness to offer European countries and energy companies attractive contracts, which means that even though we have worked on reducing the overall gas consumption, it's not enough to stop Russian gas, as they find their way into the market. This is the big issue at hand today. I have called it a freedom package for the EU because it's about shifting our dependency away from Russian energy. It seems that today I can conclude that a definitive end date for the import of Russian gas has been set. I would have liked for it to happen much earlier, but that should not diminish the joy.
Let's see where the meeting is held and in what form, but it is clear, of course, that a war criminal like Putin should not be welcome in the EU area. I hope we can reach an agreement on this, because it is completely right and legally justified that the frozen assets from Russia are used to compensate for the damage it has caused. And I am sure that legally sound solutions will be found for this, which will also gain the approval of all countries in the EU region.
In this context, it is useful that the American authorities can continue their exchanges and discussions with the Russian authorities. But let's be clear, the presence of Vladimir Putin on the territory of the European Union only makes sense if it allows for the enactment of an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Moreover, Vladimir Putin has an interest in accepting the principle of an immediate ceasefire, as time is working against him. Indeed, in the coming weeks, we are going to provide Ukraine with the means to defend itself for at least 3 years, thanks to a loan that the European Commission will grant to Ukraine, and which will be repaid in due time thanks to the reparations that Russia will pay to Ukraine. A loan that will allow Ukraine to equip itself with weapons to defend itself. Then in parallel, we will continue our policy of pressure on Vladimir Putin's regime with a 19th package of sanctions, which will be adopted in the coming days, I hope, targeting notably Russian energy infrastructures. And the main players in refining, I'm thinking in particular of Rosneft or Gazpromneft. And then I will propose today that we start work on a 20th package of sanctions which will target, for its part, the players and the states that continue, directly or indirectly, to support the Russian war effort. In the meantime, we will continue to put pressure on what is called Russia's Ghost Fleet. That is to say, these ships that allow Russia to continue exporting its oil despite the sanctions and restrictions we have decided jointly with our G7 partners. In the immediate term, we must focus on massive access of humanitarian aid to Gaza and on security. For massive access to humanitarian aid in Gaza, all crossing points must now be opened. Europe is ready to secure them since it is already present through its Oybam Rafah mission at one of its crossing points. And I would propose that we strengthen this mission so that it can fully contribute not only to the security of the passage of people, but also of goods that must arrive in large quantities in Gaza to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian population. And then on security, it is essential that the administrative committee plan by President Trump's loan plan can be installed in Gaza so that the Palestinian police can be deployed. We rely on the development and deployment of a Palestinian police force that will, in turn, be supported by an international stabilization force to which a mandate will be given by the United Nations, a mandate we are working on with our British and American partners as we speak in New York. I invited Putin on European territory. It's unacceptable. I told you, it's useful for the American authorities to be able to engage in dialogue with the Russian authorities. But this presence, the announced presence of Vladimir Putin on European Union territory, only makes sense if it allows for the implementation of an immediate and unconditional ceasefire.
Second point is Hungary didn't oppose to give a candidate status to Ukraine. That's why I expect that now also Hungary will support that we open Cluster 1 and then all the others. If, and we take those concerns seriously, if Hungary has concerns about the minority in Ukraine, we can tackle this. It is a discussion among the member states. So, as you know, it is clear that Ukraine should get those frozen assets, should get those money. But how the way will be, how we will be this legally based.
So the 19th package final is basically finished. There is one country that is blocking it, and that country should not be doing that because it's not connected to the sanctions. It's totally different type of issues. So not acceptable for us. We are not hesitating to raise it for September.
There are still sectors that were uncovered by the 19th package. That is energy, that is finances, and that is also tariffs on the Russian and Belarusian goods. So we have to work on these already for the 20th sanctions package. Second, and also very important, we have to give up with our dependency on Russia's oil and gas. Repower Europe. We have to agree on it and proceed further. The deadlines that are set right now, they are for too long period. But anyways, we have to make a decision, because otherwise we're weak in convincing the others why the others have to do the same.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.